Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and welcome back to another episode of the Daily Crypto News. And today we have some really interesting stuff to talk about. Binance has been restricted in a couple of countries. A lot of fun about that one, a lot of speculation. XRP Ledger has a ton of capabilities that you might have not even thought about. It's pretty damn crazy if you start to think about it. The Ripple XRP lawsuit just is not really that fair. We've talked about that a couple of times already though, and some of the banks have let go of some interesting statements regarding crypto. We'll talk about that too. Now, first of all, guys, once we're at 150k subs, I'm doing a face reveal for all of you guys that were wondering. I didn't forget about it, and I didn't, get away from the message. It's still there. First of all, tight-lipped about XRP lawsuit, but here is what David Schwartz, the Ripple CTO, did have to say. Now, let me not waste your time. He didn't actually say anything too new, and what they are referring to is the interview with Thinking Crypto that David Schwartz did recently. One of the things which he said was that everybody has been asking them, the SEC, for some sort of policy or some sort of guidelines or some way to figure out what's allowed and what is not. And they have just not offered that clarity. This is actually quite akin to what Brad Garlinghouse said before. It is the only country, talking about the United States, on the planet that has said XRP is anything other than a currency. Whether it's Japan, UK, Singapore, Switzerland, they all view XRP as a currency. It is just the United States, and literally, David Schwartz said as well, they've left everything in limbo, and it's just driving innovation outside the United States, because looking at all those countries which do have proper rules, it is pretty interesting, the decision. I wouldn't necessarily call it stupid because they might have their own reasons, for example, safety. I would personally say though that it's not in their best interest to do so, as a company like Ripple would not want to move outside the US unless needed. And if you can harness that innovation within your country, you should, right? At least that is my opinion. Now, Schwartz in the aforementioned video also touched upon why he feels a project using XRP as native tokens is the best bet. And again, David Schwartz, a very key proponent in the crypto space, also an early contributor to Bitcoin, this man knows what he's talking about. Again, this can be read as the CTO attempts to present the diversity of XRP's use case in the face of legal obstacles. Quote, "Here, you don't have a distribution problem. You don't have people trying to figure out how to distribute the asset. You don't have selling pressure from people trying to pay their taxes when you give them the asset. It makes more sense to use an established digital asset. It's easier for people to monetize it." End quote. And this is actually a little bit of a battle, in my opinion, towards Flare 2, which is why he talks about the taxes specifically, and also kind of a battle about some of the newer projects which have a distribution set up, which in some cases is unfair, trying to make the the founders rich quickly, but also might have a distribution problem because they don't know exactly how to sell it or how to get it into the market without doing an ICO or something of the sort. Flare now, for example, which most of you guys know by now, has chosen to do a big giveaway or a big airdrop. But if you don't do that, how are you going to make sure that people get your coins if you don't want to start out with all the coins yourself and selling them all? Like, what exactly would be your plan? And it's actually quite difficult. With XRP, it's already out there. And the distribution problem, we talked about before. Some people say Ripple has too much. It's not really a big issue if you look at it a little bit further. Now, let's not actually talk about XRP for a little second. Let's focus on what just came out about Binance, because I know you guys must be wondering about that. UK financial watchdog bans crypto exchange Binance. So a couple of articles I read first were Binance has been restricted or is being looked at. Restricted meaning that you had to be careful for a little bit, but you could still, I think, access. And now this article, and a lot of these articles, by the way, it's not just one, are all of a sudden really going heavily in the banning part. So the UK's financial watchdog has ordered Binance to stop all regulated activities in Britain and imposed stringent requirements in a stringent rebuke of one of the world's biggest crypto exchanges. The intervention by the FCA in recent days is one of the most significant moves any global regulator has made against Binance, a sprawling digital asset firm with subsidiaries all around the world. The exchange has until Wednesday evening to confirm it has complied with the watchdog's demands and removed its advertising. So, from that perspective, I am not completely sure what parts of it are banned. Here it says, Binance Markets Limited is not permitted to undertake any regulated activity in the UK. adding, no other entity in the Binance group holds any form of UK authorization, registration, or license to conduct regulated activity in the US. So I'm assuming you can't use Binance for anything at all, like anything at all anymore. But then again, some of these quotes here were making me think that Binance could just not do any advertising within the area. It could not, be an official, for example, for some of these regulated. I just shoved my keyboard on the floor. There we go. Couldn't really be the middleman for some of these bigger companies to get in. Like they couldn't have some official connections, but I thought maybe they could still operate as a normal crypto exchange. But the story, how I've read it now, is just being completely banned altogether. Right? But at least that's, again, what I fetched from it. If it's not the truth, let me know. It's been kind of confusing to me. But this is not the first time that something like this has actually happened. The FCA's decision comes after Japan's financial service agency warned last week that Binance was conducting unauthorized trade in crypto with Japanese citizens. It is the second time the FSA has warned about Binance after publishing an identical note in 2018. And Germany's financial watchdog warned investors in April that Binance had probably violated security rules over its launch of trading in stock tokens, something the exchange tried unsuccessfully to appeal against. So I made a video about this a couple of days ago. I just published it earlier today. Be careful with exchanges. Don't have too much money on there. Right now, I would say that I'm even overexposed. Because if I'm thinking about it right now, if Binance were to go away, I would literally cry for a little second, right? Because if Binance were to just take everything out, block all of us from withdrawing, and CZ, the CEO, would just leave and dip, I would cry because I've lost too much money, so to speak, right? And then you're in the wrong because you should never let yourself be open to an exchange in that specific sense. So what I always say is go grab yourself a Ledger Nano X or S or whatever. Link is down below if you want an official one. Otherwise, just go to ledger.com and make sure you have your money safe. It's always recommended to keep your money safe in your own damn pockets because on Binance or Coinbase or anything like that, not your keys, not your money. Theoretically speaking, you have the right to that money, but if something happens, nothing you can do. Then Binance restricting services for users in Ontario, Canada, due to its compliance efforts. The ball has now started to roll a little bit, and you guys all know I am not the person who wants to spread FUD, but I do want to inform you guys about the current situation. So if there is something happening in the crypto space, I will tell you, regardless of whether or not it's good or bad. And if it's not the truth, let me know in the comment section down below, and of course I'll make a revision. Sometimes I will take the video down if I said something which is not right, but most of the time I try to rectify it in the next video. That is why you should be subscribed to make sure you have every single notification and every single upload you see. These videos are usually not that long, so everybody can just watch them and move on with their day. Because, well, this stuff is important for you, right? You gotta kind of understand, okay, if a lot of countries are banning this, I might have to think about a new exchange to use. I might have to understand that less people will be able to buy crypto right now. I must maybe understand that at one point or another, Binance could have some sort of problem and they might lose my money. So be careful with that. Okay, moving on to banks. Bank of America and JP Morgan have let go of some new crypto statements, Bank of America okays the crypto approach in developing countries. This is a really beautiful one, right? Really good to see. A new Bank of America report, which again is working with Ripple, by the way, acknowledges digital currencies can add value to emerging economies. More countries will develop and release CBDC to account for the growing demand for digital transactions, and digital currencies increase access to financial products for the unbanked population. So just positive. I don't know what else to tell you right there. JP Morgan, on the other hand, cryptocurrencies repeating the 2018 bear market. And this is something that I really find fun. JP Morgan is always choosing both sides, and they want to have the pie and eat it too, right? I think that's the right way to say it in English. That's literally what they are doing, the cake, pie, whatever. So what they're doing all the time is they put up some really positive articles, and then they put up some really negative analysis and articles in the midst. That's what they do every single time, and all I can do is just tell you guys to kind of watch out for it. I'm not going to tell you to not trust JP Morgan or any of their analysts, but I am saying take everything they do with a grain of salt because they do talk about both sides, positive and negative, all the time. And they have so many analysts right there that you're going to have to kind of note down on a freaking notepad what analyst said what, why he said that, this, that, this, that. For example, one of the things that JP Morgan has done is they said we are allowing it for our clients. We're trying to help them. Some of those guys are really bullish, but Jamie Dimon, the big guy at JP Morgan, he's bearish on it. Then a couple days later, they said end of the year is 100,000. Then they said 40,000 will not be breached. Then they said 140,000 will be reached end of the year. Then 100,000, blah, 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 blah. They just all over the place. I don't really trust them. So I'm just keeping it as it is, right? I just like it because some of these articles match up. But most of the time, they just put analysis after analysis after analysis. And so you can always be right if you're a bank, huh? Then, by the way, some of the guys were saying that this is all so bad, crypto's going downhill, yada, yada, yada. One thing I can quickly say is that all of this was needed at one point or another. There's two main reasons why this entire Bitcoin debacle from right now was really freaking good. And here, Ryan says it. I've never been more excited for the future of crypto than I am right now. Q2 has been a bit of a shit show, but that doesn't take away most of the progress that's been made. The ESG Stonewall, which is about energy, and China bans Bitcoin. So this part, de-risking, this part, very big de-risking. Peter Schiff says pumpers who assured investors Bitcoin would never crash again. If you ever do that, that's really dumb. We all know crypto will crash at some points. It's just about the longevity, I would say. I personally believe we'll make more money in the long run than all these crashes can do to us. It's mentally draining, but in the end, it will be worth it. But I do believe that there will be crashes here and there because that's, again, how markets work. And now claim the crash is healthy and necessary to purge the market for excess speculation. They say China banning Bitcoin and other governments impose strict regulation is bullish. Denial ain't just a river in Egypt. Oh, denial. Oh, I like that. I like that. Wow, I like that little line right there. He has a point where it's like, you can always keep claiming some of these things are good and good and good. Well, in hindsight, you know, they might have been annoying or bad. And maybe in the further hindsight, they might have been good. But I would see it two ways as well, which is one part, it's all good because you are going to need all of these things. All these announcements were going to come at one point or another. And again, it is also about maturing the crypto space. There'll be some really negative times, but that doesn't mean the end result is going to be negative, right? You can really see a flower grow so freaking long or a plant underground, and all of a sudden, boom, after years and years of you thinking that thing is dead, it pops up beautiful as ever. Some things grow in darkness, and that's exactly what we might be seeing here. You might be seeing a little bit of a lesser perfect time, lesser good time. You might be thinking, oh, this is all so bad. In the end, it's about the result, about the end result. Those flowers bloom beautifully. And so I would say this is all good part of it too. ESG risk, by the way, is energy sources per region. Right now in China, there is a lot of coal mining, and people are saying that the renewable was too bad over in those areas. They needed to fix something along those lines in China. So China banning the mining was a really beautiful thing for energy consumption and for proper energy and stuff like that. Will I really agree with that? Yeah, sure. I don't really have anything opposed to it. All I can say is I don't really believe that anything regarding the mining has any long-term effect. It's all short-term because ultimately people don't really care that much. Fun fact, how many people made a problem of Bitcoin's energy before the big Elon Musk debacle now? Let's say Elon Musk plus minus 3 months. Not that many, right? People always said, oh, Bitcoin mining is bad. But people weren't really talking about renewable energy. They were mostly talking about energy consumption as a whole. All of a sudden now, the Bitcoin using too much energy has become a really big trend, a really big problem. Even though it's not like it's so congested right now or so ridiculously busy. It's not like that's the big issue. It's about the fact that people are now all of a sudden thinking about it. And that's the same thing for the Ripple v. SEC lawsuit. At first, there were always concerns about XRP's security status. They were always there. Because I've been making these videos since 2017, and they were always there in the past too. It's only now that they got sued, though, that people really started to take it seriously and question it really heavily. We were all doing it back then too, but only when you really get like a lawsuit or a ban is when people are like, oh, no. It's really funny how people are really, you know, the flocking bird, so to speak. Because they move with the flow. All of this was known before, but all right. And then this article we talked about a little bit earlier, but I want to kind of paraphrase it or talk about it again. Amazon could definitely use XRP's ledgers, federated sidechains, according to the Ripple CTO. CBDC, Amazon, there's so much which could be built on the XRP ledger. You shouldn't forget that one of the things issued on the XRP ledger is XRP, the native asset, right? But there's so much which can be done through Ripple's Internet of Value, the thing which they believe in, which is to create kind of everything. So for example, stocks and whatnot, and also just the transfer of money in a decentralized manner, but also to be able to transfer all of that in the same way that information right now is being transferred. So just, again, the Internet of Value, you can kind of derive the functionality from the name. It's just that you can send information over the internet as easily as value or money, or I should say differently. You can send any sort of value over the internet, or this is via a blockchain system, throughout the internet at the same ease that information does. That's the easiest way to kind of summarize that, and that's again something they've been working on. There's some articles like this which I see coming around, but I don't really pay too much attention to all of this, to be honest with you. Dogecoin's name recognition is 10 times stronger than that of XRP in the US. Could definitely be. I mean, Elon Musk is pumping the crap out of that, so is that really that strange? Really that crazy? Not to me. And also, I personally think that this chart is a little bit skewed. I would think that more people know about XRP than of Binance Coin. If you're talking about Binance, okay, different. But Binance Coin, I think more people know about XRP. Same thing for Polkadot. I think way more people know about XRP than about Polkadot in terms of percentages. So I personally wouldn't know if this is the truth. Then again, it's not really my job to measure all of this, and I'm not exactly sure how they even did, because I don't care about surveys like this at all. Why? Well, it's really hard to measure exactly how many people know about something, right? Because you can, in this case, you're surveying 1,001 people. According to a survey of 1,001 registered U.S. voters conducted by polling and data analytics firm Echelon Insights, 30% of Americans have heard about Dogecoin. I'm not sure, man. 73 about Bitcoin also sounds a little bit strange right now. I would say that like it's even higher than that of Americans. If we're talking about work participants, lower. If you're talking about Americans, U.S. voters, if they haven't heard about Bitcoin, I think they must be over the age of 70 or something like that. Because, no, I mean, almost any person I know, like maybe every person I know, I think, knows at least about Bitcoin. If you tell them, hey, you know the Bitcoin thing, like, no. No, that's never going to happen in my circles anymore, ever. So I would say that is also a little bit skewed. Like 3/4, it's pretty small over the U.S. Again, if you're talking some really, really poorer countries or countries with lesser banks or, TV or anything like that, okay. But the U.S., and again, only 3% of the population XRP, no. Very bad sample, I think, but that is just me. As I like my data, but yeah. All right, that was it for today's video. Hopefully you all enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you press the like button and subscribe, and I will definitely see you guys again in another crypto video later today.